This is a little book I had published a few years ago, and the title of it is The Rose and the Stone. And that title comes from a poem by the Irish mystic and writer John Moriarty. John entered into my life at a time when he was most needed, and the man who had first introduced me, or two people, to the whole idea of self-inquiry and finding out for oneself, or the possibility of being enlightened. Both had died within 5 weeks of one another, and I was in quite a dark place, in quite a depressed and lonely place. And so John Moriarty entered into the equation, and he was a great help to me, and he kind of formed a background or a foundation from which I could settle into again in my inquiry, and he gave me tremendous encouragement and guidance. John worked and lived in Manitoba in Canada. He was a lecturer, and while there, he wrote a poem, and one of the lines in that poem says that the rose makes public what was always private in the stone. Now, you might well ask, how could the stone possibly have any relationship whatsoever with the rose? But you see, the thing with mysticism, and even for me here now at this moment, and in any of the talks I give, is how do you put into words what is beyond words, what our words fail to carry, and they are limited. And especially with mysticism, because it's so subjective and not objective, that it is really difficult to speak about. However, people like John Moriarty, who had the gift of poetry, and were able to carry this message in a way that words may not carry directly. And so the rose and the stone, the rose makes public what was always private in the stone. Now, the thing about the rose is that because of its aesthetic beauty and because of its color, because of its scent, it makes public an energy. We actually can give it to one another as a symbol of love. When maybe other words fail us, we turn to symbolism, and the rose is one of the symbolisms that we use to demonstrate love. It kind of speaks a language that our words cannot do so. And so the rose, because of the way it is, carries these things. It carries an energy, a spirit. It carries something almost hidden and mystical. Now, the stone would almost appear to be the very opposite. It doesn't have the color, it may not have the shape, it wouldn't have the scent. So how is what the rose carries in abundance also in the stone? And what this means is that the energy, the consciousness, the beauty, the love that the rose exhibits is also in the stone, but it is there privately. The stone doesn't have the means to exhibit it in a way that the rose freely does. And the hidden meaning in this is that our true nature, my true nature, our spirit, what man has called God among other names, or love, whichever name you wish to call it, is in everything. It may not be obvious, of course, but it is in everything. We generally think our stories and our mythology that it is off and away in some far off special places where certain special conditions exist. But that is not the case. This is the greatest nonsense, because the love that I am, that my true nature is in everything. There is nothing that exists outside of it. There is nothing outside of what we have called heaven. Nothing whatsoever. Even something as dull and uninteresting as the stone has it in its privacy, if only we have the eyes to see it.